Okay, are you guys ready for today's adventure? We're gonna go on a great adventure, a crazy adventure to a mountaintop so far away. It's all the way over there. Do you see the houses all the way up there? Those aren't houses. That's a special building that we're gonna go look at. And then from that spot, we can see so far away. We're gonna go together. We're gonna drive up that mountain. You won't be in the car with me, but when I get out of the car, I'll have you with me. And then afterwards, together, we're gonna go and look at that special spot on the top of the mountain, and then we're gonna see how far we can see from the top of a mountain. Because when you're on the bottom of a mountain, you can't really see that far. But when you're on the top of a mountain, you can see for miles and miles, as far as your eye will let you see, and you feel sort of like a bird flying over and over. Okay, we have made it to the top of the mountain. That's where we were standing before. If you can see all the way over there, there's a city over there. And now we're on the top of the mountain. Look at how far we can see, but this isn't even the good view that we're gonna see. First of all, we have some very special people with us. If you look into this van over here, you'll see there are Israeli soldiers here. Those are our heroes. Those are special, special people. So, and you can see, look at this view. Now, all the way over there is our town. And then all the way out there, as far as your eye can see, there's just mountains after mountains. But here's the special place that we're at. Watch this. Do you see? These are the houses that we saw before. Now, they're not really houses. We're gonna take a look at what this place is, because this is a really special place. Okay, so we're gonna go down here. Look at these steps that we're gonna go down, and then there are like these little pathways. Look at what we're gonna see here. See, there's pathways. Should we go to the left, or should we go over here to the right? What do you choose? Start waving your hands. Which way? Well, you said to the right, so we'll go to the right. Okay, here we go. We have to walk under this tree. We'll move the tree out of the way, going through, and then we come to a very special spot. Look at this spot. Here we go. We're gonna go here. You see there's steps up here, but we're not gonna go up these steps, because that'll be the opposite way. Instead, we're gonna go over here to this very special lookout. But I don't want you to see the whole thing yet. We have to wait. Okay, here we are at our view. And look at how amazing this is. Now, even if you didn't know what exactly you were looking at, this would be an incredible view, because it's so beautiful. But you are actually looking at a very special place. A special place today, and it was a special place thousands of years ago, because something that you all know happened here thousands of years ago. So first of all, this place was created by Hashem in a very special way that most places aren't created. Do you see how these mountains go up and down and up and down and up and down, and there's like, it looks so weird. It doesn't look like regular mountains, because a long time ago, this was all covered with water. This was all covered with water. And then there was a huge earthquake, a massive earthquake. This was before there were people on the ground here. And there was a huge earthquake, and the water went away. It all dried up in the earthquake. The plates and the ground separated, and then they moved together, and these mountains were formed. So if this used to be underwater, now it's above water. But then the most special thing happened. I have to tell you about it. And it happened all the way out there. Should I tell you what it is? The Jewish people came out of Mitzrayim. Do you remember the story about how the Jewish people used to live in Mitzrayim? They were slaves in Egypt. And then what happened? You know what happened. Hashem freed them. and they walked in the desert, a desert that looked something like this. It wasn't this desert though, but walked in the desert for 40 years until they got to where? Should I tell you where? That spot out there, right there where my finger looks like it's touching, that's where they got to. And they waited right there, and that's where Moshe Rabbeinu talked to them on the mountains all the way in the distance. And Moshe told them that they're going to come into Eretz Yisrael, and Yoshua is going to take them in. And then Moshe went onto a mountaintop all the way over there, and that was where Moshe died. We said goodbye to Moshe, and Yehoshua took over, and Yehoshua brought all the Jewish people right to that spot right there. Maybe one day we'll go to that spot. That would be really cool. And they went to that spot, and Yehoshua brought them over into Eretz Yisrael right over there. And then I'm going to show you something cool in one. Okay, now I have to tell you the craziest thing that happened over here. This was like the most amazing thing. When Yoshua brought the Jewish people over, there was a river. It's still there. You just can't see it from all the way over here. But there was a river called the Yarden. And the Yarden was a really big river. And the Jewish people looked at the river and they said, we can't go across that river. We'll never be able to swim across the whole thing. It's too big. And Yoshua said, do you remember when there was another river and we wanted, or a sea, and we wanted to get across? And we said, we can't do it. And the Mitzrayim were behind us, and they were going to kill us. And we said, there was water in front of us. What are we going to do? And what did Hashem do? What nace? You remember, what did he do? He split the sea. The water went from one side to the other side, and Bnei Israel walked right through. So Yoshua said, guess what? Hashem is still protecting us. So he'll just split the sea. So right over there, the Jordan River was right there. Bnei Israel was standing at the Jordan River, and Hashem split the river. And Bnei Israel walked right through into Eretz Yisrael. Can you imagine today when you go to Israel? I wonder how many of you have been to Israel. But when you go to Israel today, you take an airplane. There's no real miracle that happens. You don't watch water split. But imagine if you were moving to Eretz Yisrael and everybody was moving with you, all the Jewish people, just like they were then, and you got up to the river and the river split. You'd be like, wow, that's crazy. Whoa, how did that happen? And then you'd walk right through and you'd turn to Hashem and you'd say, thank you, Hashem, so much. And you'd be so happy to be in Eretz Yisrael because, look, it was like miracles. A nace happened. And that's the nace that happened when Bnei Yisrael came in right over there when they came in to Eretz Yisrael. Now I'm going to show you something else. Watch this. Okay, now I want you to see. I zoomed in my camera so you could see. Do you see how there's a city there? Do you see it's a lot of houses? There's buildings and there's houses, and you could stand on the top of this mountain and see the entire city over there. Do you see it? Should I try to zoom in even more? There you go. Now you could really see inside. You could even see the houses. If you look carefully, you could see some of the cars driving. Now I'm going to zoom out so you can see just how far away we are. Look at that. Look how far we are. So that city is called Yericho. It's the same Yericho that we have in the Torah. This city is famous. First of all, it's the first city that Bnei Israel got to when they came to Eretz Yisrael. They came over there and they walked into Yericho. Now, it didn't look like this, because if you know this story well, and if you don't, I'm going to tell it to you now, there used to be a wall around the whole city. And if anybody tried coming into the city, they couldn't get in because there was a wall around. Look how big this is. Can you imagine how big the wall was? It was around the whole city. And Bnei Israel got to the city, and Hashem said, I want you to go into the city and conquer the city. This is going to be your city from now on. This is your land. And Bnei Israel said, how are we going to get through the walls? And Hashem told Yoshua, this is what you do. You ready? I want you to go and walk around the walls 7 times. And as you're walking around the walls, I want you to blow shofar. And at the end, I want you all to blow the shofars as loud as you can, and you'll see what's going to happen. So all the people of Yericho saw the army of Bnei Israel, and they said, we're not scared. We have these big walls that are going to protect us. And then Bnei Israel started walking around, and they blew the shofar. And they kept blowing the shofar, and eventually they walked around 7 times, and then the shofar blast happened, and the walls fell down. They just fell down. That's it. They just fell down. It was amazing. Another nace. They just saw a nace when the river split, and now there was another nace. And then the people of Yericho had no way to defend themselves, and Bnei Israel beat them in war, and they took this first city called Yericho. Isn't that an amazing story? Right here it happened. Okay, now I want to show you something else that's incredible. Do you see any trees out here? Is there any grass even? There's no trees, there's no grass, there's just rocks and dirt. Sometimes you see a few bushes, but now I'm gonna show you something incredible. Look at this. You see, there's the whole desert here with no trees, no grass, but then if we go down here, watch this. I'm gonna zoom in, and what do you see? A whole bunch of trees there. How do these trees get there? Look, again, let's look at this. No trees anywhere here. Nothing. It's all blank and barren. There's nothing here. Do you see? No trees. And then all of a sudden, we come here. I go slow. We come here, and what do we see? All of a sudden, right here, there's tons of trees. How did those trees get here? So I'm going to tell you the secret of how those trees are there. You ready? What do you think's inside all of these mountains? You'll say, silly Rabbi, there's nothing inside the mountains except for more dirt. But that's not true. See, every winter it rains here, and the water goes into the mountains. And there are tunnels in the mountain. And the rain goes in, and it stays there for 30 or 40 years. And then, all of a sudden, the water comes out of the mountain, and it's in certain spots, and in those spots trees grow. So right here, if you came early in the morning to this spot right here, you'd see gushing water. So much water here. It's incredible how much water comes out, but there's so much water that the trees grow right over here. Now look at this. We have some friends that came here. Look who's here. We have a mother and her kittens came to play with us. Look at this. Now you'll say, wait a minute, how do these kittens get any food up here? There's nothing to eat up here. Look at the kittens and their mom sitting there relaxing. So should I tell you how they get food up here? First of all, people give them food. But look at them, right? Aren't they cute? And they're very, very cute. So it used to be over in this part of the land. It used to be here. There were lions everywhere. If you would go here, there would be lions running around like these cats. And this is actually a really good place if you're a cat and a lion, because cats and lions come from the same animal family. This is a great place to live because remember we just said, there's water in the mountains, and cats can catch animals that, like, even smaller than them, that they get to eat. So, and the cats, there's a lot of people that come visit up here, so the cats aren't scared of people. But these aren't anybody's cats. These are just cats that live here and run around, and they wait for people to come and eat their lunch, and then sometimes they'll eat the leftovers. But if not, they catch little animals that they can eat. And this is a place where they like to live. Okay, here's the last thing I want to show you. Do you see these mountains here? Now, nobody goes on these mountains, right? These mountains, nobody can walk on. They're too steep. It's too hard. So what are these lines? Do you see these white lines on the mountains? Where do these white lines come from? Aren't they strange? Right? They look like you could say maybe that's a road that you could drive on, but nobody comes here. So how did these lines get on the mountain? Doesn't seem to make any sense. I wonder if you know how the lines got there. Well, I'll tell you. In the winter, it rains, and the rain comes down from the top of the mountain, and it goes down, but it doesn't go all the way. It stops right where those lines are, and then it just sits there. And because the water sits there, it makes these lines, and that's how the lines get there. And even when it dries up and there's no rain like today, the lines stay, and you can still see them.